the last 20, 25 years, there have been so many tremendous advances in neuroscience in general and in Alzheimer's disease research in particular.
There have been a number of key turning points in Alzheimer's research, and one of the most important was the discovery of the so-called amyloid beta protein, or A-beta as we call it, which is the constituent of the plaques that Alzheimer described. That was the key discovery to allow us to understand how this amyloid beta protein forms and how we could decrease its formation. In addition to the discovery of the amyloid beta protein 84, there have been a whole series of breakthroughs, understanding what the neurofibrillary tangles were involved with. And my lab, among several labs, discovered that they were made up of a protein called tau.
I think we've come a very long way in terms of research, in that we've made discoveries in trying to understand the earliest changes in the brain, and we know that these changes begin years, maybe even decades, before people show symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. But I also think we've got a long way to go in research, meaning I really want us to be able to get this knowledge to translate into effective treatments for patients and ultimately to prevent the memory loss associated with Alzheimer's disease. I think research is critical. We would not be where we are in Alzheimer's disease now without a combination of basic laboratory discovery and, importantly, clinical research. And that's both clinical trials but also biomarker and imaging research. This has really changed the field over the past decade in a way that I think many people didn't think was possible in Alzheimer's disease. To be able to detect evidence of Alzheimer's disease in the living brain before there are symptoms, this would only be possible because of the research that's been funded by the Alzheimer's Association.
One of the most important research projects that has been done over the last several years is called the Alzheimer's Disease Neuroimaging Initiative, or ADNI. And that is the ideal collaborative study. And it was in part funded by the Alzheimer's Association. The ADNI study has probably made the greatest impact in our ability to diagnose the disease and diagnose it early. It has done so by breaking down those silos, by bringing together institutions all across the country to share data so we can get done more than any individual researcher could get done on their own.
I am very fortunate to be the project director of the A4 prevention trial, which stands for Anti-Amyloid Treatment in Asymptomatic Alzheimer's Disease. The A4 study is the first ever prevention trial in older individuals who show evidence of amyloid plaque buildup. And the idea is that if we could slow the amyloid buildup or decrease the amyloid in the brain, that we could prevent memory loss associated with Alzheimer's disease. And importantly, there's a companion study, which we call the LEARN study, which will also follow people who don't have amyloid plaque buildup in their brain with the same measures. So we can really understand what's related to amyloid, what are the changes in the brain that might be non-Alzheimer's disease or not related to amyloid. The Alzheimer's Association has been incredibly helpful in funding the LEARN study, and in particular, an aspect of the A4 trial and the LEARN study that otherwise wouldn't have happened, and that's bringing in tau PET imaging, which allows us for the first time to see the other hallmark change in Alzheimer's disease, these tangles that we think are so important in causing memory decline in older people.
We do have very promising treatments that are in experimental trials. There is nowhere in the world that one can go to just have a doctor write a prescription today and go down to the local pharmacy and get the drug that slows down Alzheimer's. But the trials are so promising now that I think we will have such drugs.
And probably the most important thing that research participation provides is a sense of hope. We have technology that we've never had before. We've had understanding of neuroscientific concepts that we've never had before. We have a better understanding of what causes the disease. and we have the tools now to move forward.
What gives me the greatest hope is that we can now see evidence of Alzheimer's disease before there's irreversible brain damage. And this really suggests to me that if we start early enough, we can bend the curve of decline and someday really prevent Alzheimer's dementia altogether. The Alzheimer's Association has been integral to the changes in our field that have happened over the past 5 to 10 years. Their work with the FDA that really changed the guidelines that allowed us to start prevention trials. Their work in setting up the NIA Alzheimer's Association criteria to define a preclinical or pre-symptomatic stage of Alzheimer's disease. Their work in going out and getting increased awareness in Alzheimer's disease. These are the things that when we look 20 years from now and ask what really changed the field, what made it possible to prevent Alzheimer's disease memory loss, it's the Alzheimer's Association's work that really made that possible.
People often ask me, where's the great breakthrough in Alzheimer's? Where is it? When is it going to come? And I often smile and say to them, I'm afraid you missed it. It happened. You didn't notice it? It was the founding in 1980 of the Alzheimer's Association, which did this unbelievable work to make Alzheimer's a household word, to make people understand what an awful personal and societal tragedy Alzheimer's is. And that breakthrough of having families come together and form their own association fueled an awful lot of research, science, discussion, public policy, caregiving, all the wonderful things that the Alzheimer's Association does today. Without the Alzheimer's Association starting in 1980, we wouldn't be anywhere near where we are today.